There's one thing you need to be prioritizing with your workouts this year, and that's exactly what we want to talk with you about in this week's episode of the Exercise is Health podcast. We're going to cue our introduction and dive right into this conversation. Hey, welcome back, everybody, to the Exercise is Health podcast, brought to you by Muscle Activation Schaumburg. We're your hosts, Charlie
and Julie.
And today we're discussing the one thing that you must be prioritizing this year with your workouts. If you prioritize this one thing, it will have the greatest impact on your overall health, your overall function, and what you are able to physically do throughout your life. And we want to let you know that if you want to start taking action on what we're discussing today, that's exactly what we can help you do at our studio, Muscle Activation Schaumburg, where we specialize in muscle activation techniques. So all you need to do to see our availability and get on our schedule is go to our website, www.matschaumburg.com, click the big green button that says Get Started, and you can schedule yourself for your initial MAT consultation and assessment. So, out of all the different things that you could be working on with your health, with your fitness, with your workouts this year, whether it's balance or mobility or cardiovascular fitness or, whatever it is, okay? All of those things are fine and well, but the one thing that is far and away going to have the biggest impact on your life, on your ability to do things, on your ability to feel well, on your ability to function well, is your strength. And so your priority this year with your workouts needs to be on building your strength.
That's right. Strength is so important because when you think about it, when it comes down to your physical abilities and your body, everything is riding on your body's strength. Like my daughter, she's in first grade and she's learning how to read. And she uses the alphabet that she learned in preschool and in kindergarten to then start building things into words and, to be able to read. Strength is like your alphabet. And so there are so many benefits to increasing your strength. There's so many benefits to working on your balance, to your cardio, all the things that Charlie just listed. But all of those depend on you having robust muscle strength. And so working specifically on your muscle strength is so incredibly important because it's literally the foundation for your body to do all the rest of the stuff that you want to train it to do and for it to do in your regular life. Again, things like balance, things like your cardio, things like your mobility and your flexibility, things like your functional abilities, right? Functional training. Those are all riding on your muscles' ability to handle force and to be strong. And so the number one thing that people often miss is they skip straight to the balance training, the Pilates, the core training, the cardio training, and they miss just strictly working on their strength. And so the first thing that we want you to know that you need to be doing is working on your strength and doing your strength training. And then all those other things you also can do, but you can never miss your strength training.
Exactly, because the bottom line is the stronger you get, the easier everything in your life becomes. Nothing becomes easier because you became weaker. All right, nothing becomes easier in your life. I was like, oh, wow, yeah. No, this is so much easier now that I'm weaker. Nobody ever says that, okay? Everything gets easier when you get stronger. The other thing is that the stronger you get now, the greater opportunity you are going to have to stay strong with every single passing year, okay? Every single year that goes by, it gets more and more difficult to build strength. So with every single year that goes by, you are in some ways losing opportunities to be able to build your strength. However, if you take advantage of the time that you have right now and really prioritize building your strength, the stronger you can get right now, the better opportunity you're going to have to maintain that strength with each passing year and the easier time you will have at continuing to build strength with each passing year because you are starting from a more solid foundation, okay? So truly, building your strength is a super, super critical thing. The reality is for most people, strength is a limiting factor for being able to do the things that you want to do, all right? Oh, you like golfing. Great. Strength is going to be your limiting factor. Great. You like, riding horses on vacation. Awesome. Strength is going to be your limiting factor. You like traveling. Great. Strength is going to be your limiting factor. It's very rare that your cardiovascular fitness is going to be your limiting factor. All right, it's very rare that mobility is going to be your limiting factor. More times than not, strength is going to be your limiting factor. So prioritizing your strength will serve so many benefits, not only just here and now, but for years down the road as well.
Charlie, you brought up so many amazing things. Like one thing that we notice when we start working with people on their strength is they notice that all the other stuff gets easier. And it always makes us question, like, did you really have a balance problem? Or did you just have a strength problem? Did you really have a mobility problem? Or was your body really tight because it was so weak, right? Or did you really have a cardio problem? Or was it just so much effort for your body because your muscles are really weak? And so, again, just by working on the strength and the foundation of your muscles, which is getting your muscles practicing being under load, being under force, it improves every other like category of fitness or, all the activities that you're thinking of without even having to just work specifically on them. Yes, if you're golfing and you work on your strength, you will improve your game like in an incredible way. But yes, working on your skill is helpful too. But most people, again, they just work on the skill, right? Or working on the balance, right? Like, I really want to get this balance pose in yoga. You can always practice the skill of bouncing in your yoga class. But you also will notice incredible changes as soon as you start actually stimulating the muscle tissues and really getting them under force, because that's when your system just becomes so much more robust. And just as Charlie was saying, the coolest thing about strength training, even if you go through like, I strength train and I take breaks, I strength train and strength train, it all builds on itself. Like, I have clients that will come in, they worked out their whole life, and then, they're getting older and they don't know how to exercise now and keep their strength in the way that they did in their 20s and 30s. They're like, I can't just do whatever anymore, right? So then they take a break in their 40s and 50s. Now they're in their 60s. And they're like, I just used to be so in shape. I'm so out of shape. They're honestly in a better place than people that have never strength trained. So it's always a good time to start, and you're always building up your foundation as you go. So every time you are strength training, you're like putting money in your savings account and really like building that up. And although it can change, like if you take a long break or something, it doesn't completely go away. So always building up that foundation and building into a stronger like tomorrow is always really helpful and important.
Exactly. Now, there are some keys that you need to keep in mind to make sure you are doing this both safely and effectively. Okay. And so the first thing that we need you to understand is you need to be going heavy at least 3 times a week. Okay, this does not mean you need to be doing 1 rep max, but if you are listening to us right now and you're like, oh, I got my strength training covered because, during my aerobics class, we got those hand weights and, we pump out some bicep curls while we're stepping up and down off the stepper. It's like, no. We're talking about like focused strength training at least 3 times a week where you're doing weights that are truly challenging for you and like pretty challenging after a rep or two. Again, not that you're doing like a 1 or 2 rep max, but like, if you're doing a weight that you can't do more than 8 times, after the second rep, you're starting to feel, okay, like this is pretty heavy, okay? Like that should be the feeling that you have. It needs to be heavy. Heavy is going to be the thing that allows your body to change because that is going to provide the challenge to your body. Challenge is the thing that is going to cause your body to change. And one really easy way to make something more challenging is to increase the heaviness of it. Too often we skip out on the heaviness or we skip out on the challenge because we tell ourselves, well, I don't want to get hurt. And then we use that as a card that we flash around to everybody. It's like, well, I don't want to get hurt, so I don't lift heavy. It's like, okay, yeah, but if we're actually trying to make change, if you're actually trying to build strength, you need to challenge yourself. And a very easy way to increase the challenge is to increase the heaviness.
That's right. And also know that a lot of weights feel heavy, but that doesn't mean that they're actually close to being your heavy. Heavy is what we look for is like the last rep, like you could barely get in or you couldn't do it at all. You attempted, but you're doing it safely and you're doing it and you're not going to get injured. But if you are brand new to this, just note that everything feels heavy to your body most of the time. It's just relative to how you place that. Like a really good analogy to this is like, I remember when I got out of college, I remember thinking paying my bills, showing up to work on time and buying groceries and cooking dinner was like very stressful. It's like, this is so hard. This is intense. And like, you guys have all been there, right? And then like a couple years go by and you're like, okay, wow, when I was 22 and I was doing that, that was so easy. But to your perspective, that was really hard because it was like new challenges that you've never had to manage all by yourself. And then, you get in your mid-20s and now you can handle like now I have a dog. Like, this is a new challenge. And then you're like, this is so hard, you know, and then you get used to that. And so, and then life just keeps going like that, right? And it's like the thing that feels so hard right now, you look back and you're like, wow, that was like such a low stress. But to your perspective, it was the most you've ever done. So a lot of times when people start weight training, you know, you pick up a 5-pound dumbbell and this is really heavy. And to your brain's perspective, yeah, it is heavier because you're used to doing 0, right? You just did 5. But know that the goal is to keep building up until you can be able to be doing reps where the 8th one or the 10th one you do perfectly with the 4 exercise for life principles to stay safe, but you also kind of go to this idea of failure. It's like a safe failure, because that's how we know that your muscles are really getting challenged versus your brain saying, Mayday, Mayday, we don't want to be under challenge, right? Because our bodies are designed to not do that type of exertion. Like, our bodies are designed to survive. And so your brain is going to work with you on that. So you have to realize, like, is this just my brain talking? Or are my muscles actually getting really challenged? And so that's what you're looking for, is like, on that final rep, you're doing all the perfect form, you're doing all the checks and balances, but you also can't do it. And that means that your muscles are truly getting close to their max.
Exactly. All right. So then the second thing we need to make sure you're doing is you're following the 4 exercise for life principles. Now, just as a quick recap, exercise for life principle number 1 is to use your full symptom-free range of motion. Exercise for life principle number 2 is to control your moving and non-moving segments, the areas of your body that you want to move and the areas of your body that you want to keep still. Number 3 is to move slowly, and exercise for life principle number 4 is to focus on squeezing your muscles. Look, if you're going to go heavy, there are a lot of ways that you can hurt yourself. And there are a lot of ways that you can go about lifting heavy and not hurt yourself. The exercise for life principles are designed to help you do the latter, where you can lift heavy, challenge your body as much as it can be appropriately challenged at that moment, and not hurt yourself, and actually leave your workout feeling really well, feeling like you got challenged, but not feeling like you created any issues or, you know, anything flared up or anything like that. Okay, those 4 exercise for life principles, those are what you need to follow with every single rep, with every single exercise, with every single workout that you do, to help keep your body feeling well, to help keep your body safe while you're lifting. Because, like we said, you need to be challenging your muscles in order to really get the results that you're looking for in terms of building strength. These 4 exercise for life principles are how you do that in a safe way.
Totally. So make sure you're using these as it's like your safety net. It's like, once you master the 4 exercise for life principles, it's what teaches you how to, like, analyze your body to be like, okay, this is really heavy and safe. Or like, yeah, this is not for me today or for me this month, right? And it's time to take a break from that. But the third thing that we want you to be doing is getting muscle activation techniques. Literally labeling exercise as the reason that you get hurt is such a thing of the past, right? Like, we know that weight training is the number one way to stay healthy. Research knows that. I think that it's finally getting into mainstream media. But here's the thing. Everyone's bodies has areas that are lagging behind or has had past injuries. And so here's the really interesting thing. It's like, a lot of times we want to blame exercise for the reason we're getting injured. Like, oh, this flared up that muscle thing, or, oh, I got a strained muscle. That thing was going to get flared up in your life. It's just that now that you are putting force on your body, we would actually rather you be challenging your body and getting regular MAT maintenance than you not challenging your body, because you're still going to need MAT maintenance without challenging your body. It's just you're going to be a lot more healthier, a lot stronger, and a lot better off, like more resilient, more stress resilient, more life resilient if you're getting muscle activation techniques. So MAT is designed to look for those little weak links that are going to pop up when you exercise, especially if you're new to exercise. I mean, I guess I could take that back. If you're old for exercise too, like, you've been doing it, you already know your areas that are like, ooh, that's my nagging area. But MAT addresses these things. It brings muscles up to speed so that you are less likely to have those weak points, or you exercise and it doesn't flare up your bursitis anymore. Or, you know, it just makes sure that every muscle is ready to go so that you can go do your gym workout and get them stronger. Because a lot of times muscles are not ready to go. They're not communicating well to your nervous system. And then we go and exercise, and yes, you are healthier for it, but that's one of the main reasons why people feel a little bit like cruddy after their workouts. Like, oh, I'm tight after I have to do 30 minutes of stretching all the time. Or, oh, it flares up my back, or things like that. Like, you shouldn't have these regular negative responses from exercise. Most of them are a response because you have muscles that need to be addressed with MAT.
That's exactly right. So look, in 2026, Your priority with your workout should be to build your strength. It will make everything else that you are trying to do in your life easier, and it will build a more solid foundation that you will get to draw from with every single passing year as far as being able to maintain your strength as the years go by. You need to make sure that you are heavily challenging your body with your strength training at least 3 times a week. You're following the 4 exercise for life principles to make sure your body stays safe and that you stay feeling well, and get your body tuned up on a regular basis with muscle activation techniques to take care of those muscles that are lagging behind, that may be creating more tightness, more aches and pains than you would like or than you're accustomed to. Get them tuned up with muscle activation techniques so you can stay consistent with your strength training and building your strength. Now, if you're hearing this and you want to start taking action on it, that's exactly what we can help you do at our studio, Muscle Activation Schaumburg, where we specialize in muscle activation techniques. So all you need to do to see our availability and get on our schedule is go to our website, www.matschaumburg.com. Click the big green button that says Get Started, and you can schedule yourself for your initial MAT consultation and assessment. Well, thank you so much for tuning in, everybody, wherever you consume our content, whether you are watching on YouTube, whether you are listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. We always appreciate you giving us your time and attention every single week. If you wouldn't mind leaving us a rating and review on whatever platform you listen to us on, it always means the world to us when you do. We're wishing you a fantastic week, and we'll talk with you all next week.
This podcast is for information purposes only. The statements and views on this podcast are not medical advice. This podcast, including Julie and Charlie Gates, disclaim responsibility for any possible adverse effects from the use of information contained herein. Opinions of guests are their own, and this podcast does not endorse or accept responsibility for statements made by guests. This podcast does not make any representations or warranties about guest qualifications or credibility. This podcast may contain paid endorsements or advertisements for products or services. Individuals on this podcast may have a direct or indirect financial interest in products or services referred to herein. If you think you have a medical issue, consult a licensed physician.